Watch this.
Whew, what a week. We made it to Friday, the end of the week, and now a time to look at the end of the legislature. Yes, they wrapped up this week. We're taking a look back at some of the big ticket items and also looking forward at what they'll talk about next year. What has two big front teeth, builds its home with wood, and parachutes out of airplanes in McCall? It's not the answer you're thinking, but it's particularly important today. We'll tell you why. And this team is on a roll, and this weekend is their last home game of the regular season. We're checking in with the Idaho Steelheads as they are set to take the ice tonight against the Utah Grizzlies. We head down to the Idaho Central Arena for the game day report. The 208 on your Friday starts right now. Well, it's Friday. You made it through the week. So glad you can join us here on the 208, and what a week it's been. A highlight for sure. The Idaho Legislature wrapped up their business for the year, and boy, it was quite a year for lawmakers. They accomplished, though, a top-tier item, property tax relief. And major storylines we followed all session center on some of the social legislation, battles over voting, education, and health care, just to name a few. Republican leaders down at the State House, they tell me they are pleased with the session, but they know what they want to double down on. Conversations like harmful materials in libraries heading into next year. But to debrief the session, I caught up with Republicans and Democrats at the State House, and leaders on both ends shared their reaction to the end of the session and the body of work they can now reflect on. Now, Republicans, to start with, they say they checked off a lot of items on their legislative list.
Yeah, I think, when you have a 50% turnover in the body, which we did in the Senate, you don't know exactly how everything's going to play out, but I think it played out pretty well. If you look at the governor's State of the State address and all where he started, I think we've been able to deliver on most of his programs that he wanted. I think the legislature's done the things they wanted to do as far as the social issues and budgeting. So I think all in all, it's been a really good year.
And first year as the House Speaker, Representative Moyle, what are your thoughts on your first year replacing now Lieutenant Governor Bedke?
It was fun. I had a good time. House members hit the floor running. We did some great things for education, roads, tax relief. We touched all the bases, and it was a learning experience, but it was enjoyable. I really enjoyed it.
So what about the other side of the aisle? Well, Democrats tell me that they're happy that property taxes was addressed this year, but they maintain that there were better options on that front that also preserved the March election date for bonds and levies that schools use. That will now be going away per the property tax legislation. Now, Dems tell me they're very concerned with the direction of the legislature, especially on social topics. In years past, Democrats in Idaho have said that they believe our state has the most dangerous legislature.
Sadly, we kind of lived up to that billing in many ways again. I felt for a lot of people in Idaho, it was really a full-time job to be in there doing battle against their government, just trying to protect their basic rights. They felt many people just had to write, call, testify every single day to make sure they still had the right to vote, by absentee, or that they retained their ballot initiative rights, or that they tried to retain some shred of access to health care, parental control, books, libraries. It really was kind of this nonstop assault on freedoms coming at the hands of their elected officials, unfortunately.
How did it feel in the Senate? I imagine you have a similar opinion.
Oh, very similar. And I think, this is the year that the Senate really changed a lot after the last election, and a lot of, establishment Republicans lost their positions. And so we saw a huge battle in the Senate in the Republican Party where Democrats actually had to save a lot of the bills and budgets. I think, overall, I feel pretty shell-shocked by this session. I've been in the legislature 9 years, and I don't think I've ever seen more citizens devastated and really upset.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. We will get to a lot more on that topic and more on both sides of the aisle. Join us this Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for our Viewpoint program. I'll sit down with legislative leaders. We address the highs, the lows, and everything in between. Have a question for lawmakers? Well, feel free to send us a message here to the text line. Happy to pick their brain now in the aftermath of the legislative session. And if there's anything you want to read up on, check out our website, ktvb.com. Full politics there. So So we all know that Governor Little signed House Bill 71 into law this week. We told you about it when it happened. This is now the law that bans gender-affirming health care for transgender children, including puberty blockers, hormones, and transitional surgeries. Now, under the new Idaho law, any doctors in the state who prescribe those treatments to a child under 18, they could be charged with a felony. Now, the ACLU plans to sue the state over the law, but it's not just advocacy groups that are fighting it. Some elected officials are too, and this includes Shiva Rajbandari, the youngest member of the Boise School Board. He's not happy about the governor signing this bill, and it feels that he believes that it'll hurt Idaho kids. It's the way that he went about expressing himself on social media on Tuesday that is now sparking new backlash. Here's his tweet. You can see part of it blurred out. The 18-year-old Boise High School student, some pointed out, had some profane words for the governor on social media earlier this week. And other than the profanity, Rajbandari said in a part, quote, "I pray you live a long life so you can bear witness to the pain you've unleashed on Idaho's children and families." He added, "This law is unconstitutional when government begins to intrude on the inalienable rights of the people. It forfeits any form of legitimacy." Then on Wednesday, Rajbandari posted again, following up, this time saying that his posts do not reflect the views of any organizations he's a part of, and he doesn't use that kind of language in Boise School Board meetings, but he does stand by his position on the passing of House Bill 71, saying, quote, "The hypocrisy of suggesting a profane tweet is more harmful than what HB 71 could unleash on our trans and non-binary youth baffle me," end quote. We asked him if he felt it was appropriate for a school board trustee to speak out about the bill. Here's what he said.
I would not condone the language I used in my tweets in a board meeting or in a classroom, but we also have a responsibility to fight for our communities and stand up for what's right when trans rights are under attack, when the rights of our communities are under attack, when the rights of our families are under attack. We stand up and fight back. And I'm proud to stand in solidarity with the LGBTQ+ community here in Idaho, and I will never back down in my commitment to standing with my trans and non-binary friends and siblings.
Dave Wagers, the president of the Boise School Board, released a full statement about Rajbandari's comments. He said, quote, "The board of the Boise School District does not condone, approve of, or endorse the language that Shiva Rajbandari used in his Twitter account. His words do not exemplify the dignity and respect the Boise School District works so hard to earn every day. His actions have also damaged our teamwork, which we strive so hard to build both on our board and in the district," end quote. Another news for you today, Attorney General of the state of Idaho, Raul Labrador, was in court. It was only a motion hearing, but it was about a lawsuit against the Attorney General seeking injunctions against Labrador's investigation into grant fundings for education programs. The complaint was made by 35 education and child care organizations who received the grant funding, saying the Attorney General is, quote, "overreaching in his civil investigation demands." The Attorney General demanded records from 80 Idaho organizations who get funding from the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare Community Partner Grant Program. Now, that program was created through the Federal American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, to help with learning loss during the pandemic. And the CIDs were served last month because of questions about how agencies were distributing their funds. But the agencies struck back with a complaint over overreaching, which is what the motion hearing was about today. And we did reach out to the Attorney General's office to see if they had anything to say about the motion hearing, but they said they do not comment on pending litigation.
In the 1950s, Idaho relocated these amphibious rodents by dropping them with parachutes out of airplanes.
Do you know the answer to that Jeopardy question? If you're new to the area, you probably don't. If you're a long-timer here, you already know. But if you've called the Gem State for a long time, then we have a story that you might have seen and probably love. And how could we not show you this story on International Beaver Day? Yes, beavers parachuting from the sky. That is a unique piece of Idaho history, all because of the city of McCall's population boom in the 1940s. It's today's 208 Redial.
If you were only told about it, you might not believe it. Like a story passed around campfires from one generation to the next. It goes like this. In Idaho's mountains, tucked beside a sparkling lake, sits McCall. With its views and location, it started to pull people in, and the community starts to grow. Family homes, vacation homes, businesses being built. It was going so well, until it wasn't. Shortly after World War II, the town found itself with a problem. Turns out, a colony of beavers, who had been in the area for centuries, began destroying property with their dam tendencies. Beaver, dam, kind of go hand in hand. They were in a fix, and that needed fixing.
He's in. Careful preparation and knowledge of the beaver's habits has paid off.
So the Idaho Department of Fish and Game decided they were going to relocate the rodents to other more remote parts of Idaho. Although this relocating required a flight plan and actual planes. In 1948, Fish and Game officers test-dropped Geronimo, their guinea pig, if you will, several times, by box, into Idaho's backcountry.
Into the drop box, nearly ready for that flight back into the mountain.
And it worked. It became the mode of operation to move 75 other members of Geronimo's Beaver Brotherhood. The purpose of this parachuting program? To actually raise the beaver population, while also helping preserve Idaho's habitat. While that was more than 50 years ago, it's still remembered today, in remnants in the form of stickers on the front of t-shirts, and told in children's books.
Idaho Fish and Game said those parachutes were leftover World War II parachutes, and the boxes weren't just random cardboard boxes. They were specifically designed just for the project that is still one of our favorite pieces of Idaho history. Strange but true, but anyways, happy International Beaver Day, everyone.
Well, you can see there's spring, and we see spring all over the place here on this northwest satellite picture. Let me begin with showing you here in the Boise area. You notice out toward Twin Falls, they're getting some rain showers, very light. A lot of these showers are breaking up as they move in toward valley locations, but let's move in a little closer, show you some thunderstorms earlier. You can see some of the thunderstorms moving up toward Cascade now, likely changing over to some rain, snow mix as it hits some of that colder air. Already moving through Caldwell today was a thunderstorm. The same thing around Homedale, and Caldwell getting a second one. Nothing reaching Boise as of yet. There is a thunderstorm near Nampa, but we're not seeing any lightning strikes. That's going to move southwest to northeast, and so far showers coming in have been very light. This one, which is about, maybe less than a half an hour out, we might see a shower from as that comes through and gets a little bit closer to the Boise area. Amounts of rain, well, it's going to be very light, okay? And I think this, at this point, this is, unless you're near a thunderstorm, I don't think you're going to see some of these larger numbers that you see through there. But Nampa and Caldwell could have a little more rain as you look at that. But as you move east, Mountain Home and Twin Falls may not see much of anything of this at all. Now let's look at the northwest satellite picture. This is the storm system coming in for tonight. Want to emphasize this. It's gone by tomorrow morning. Gone. And then we have a north-southwesterly flow. Storm's trying to come in, but as you look at this, watch this one. Looks pretty big. Then it kind of backs up. High pressure ridge out ahead of it. That's later Monday. Eventually, this storm system will push through and come into southwestern Idaho, but that's going to be likely on Tuesday. So this is what it does with the numbers. That southwesterly flow, this is fantastic. 61 degrees. Oh, look at that. 70, 77 degrees. So we're up to 167 days where we haven't hit 60 degrees, but we're going to do it tomorrow. So it looks like it stops at 167. We broke the record of 153. And then as you look at Tuesday and Wednesday, there's a chance of some showers. Temperatures do come down, but they're not bad. They're basically into the 50s. And then by the time you get to Friday, they're back up to 60 degrees. And some of the models are pushing again toward next weekend, seeing some more days around 70 degrees. There's your spring.
All right, Rick, well, thanks. It's great weather for all the ducks that are hatching. Really appreciate it.
You know, just think of this weekend. I mean, you know, get excited about it, Joe. It's coming.
What a great hatching weekend. All right, Rick, we'll talk soon. Thank you. Well, it's Friday night. You know what that means. Idaho Steelheads, they take the ice for the final time at home tonight during the regular season. And it's been quite a year, very arguably the best regular season in Idaho Steelheads history. And Idaho, they are out on the ice this morning getting ready for tonight. The team will actually head to Utah early tomorrow for another game on this weekend set against the Utah Grizzlies. So a rivalry border war weekend between Idaho and Utah down on the ice. And as you can see, the goaltenders, they are sharp, and goaltending will be key here this weekend. As you watch the practice from this morning, it's absolutely just amazing to watch these guys just fly out there on the ice. If you haven't been to a game, you got to catch one. But as Idaho wraps up the long regular season here at home, they look ahead to some big things. And I checked in with the voice of the Steelheads, Cam McGuire, for insight on this record-breaking season. And we all agree it flew by.
It's crazy, right? I feel like it was yesterday that we were just getting ready to go home for the holiday break, but final game of the regular season on home ice is here tonight, but obviously a lot to look forward to, chasing some records still, and 4 more games left after tonight in the regular season, obviously all on the road, but playoff hockey going to be back here for round 1, games 1 and 2, April 19th and the 21st, but looking to end it here this evening with 2 points. It's going to be a packed crowd, and we've got some team awards to announce pregame here tonight. The annual tradition will continue on, as we'll have a couple of awards to hand out, so that'll be happening just past the 7 o'clock hour. So get here early. You'll want to get in your seats and see some hardware dished out to some individual players tonight.
And those team awards are super fun. So yeah, get there early if you have a ticket tonight. Should be a great pregame ceremony. And Idaho took game 1 of the series from Utah back on Wednesday, but that was the night that the 2023 Steelheads, they forever put themselves in the record book again.
Obviously, you look at the overall record right now, 54-10, 1-2, but you look at the home record, and it was a historic night on Wednesday night as the Steelheads came away victorious in overtime by a final score of 3-2, and the significance of that one, win number 31 on home ice, and Idaho setting another league record, most home wins in a regular season.
And I just want to be very clear real quickly. It's not just the players and coaches that are getting ready to wrap up the regular season. Cam and I found ourselves very much in the way this morning during our interview. Just watch.
Especially for the Idaho Steelheads, who are going to sell out for their 30.
Yeah, that's the legend Jared Jacobs there. He's trying to get the ice done. Thanks for clearing the ice. Yeah, Cam and I got a little bit in the way down there on ice level. But anyways, we will see everyone down there tonight at the Idaho Central Arena. Puck drop is coming up at 7:10. Pre-game awards again just after 7 o'clock. We'll have your comments and some more coming up right after this break. All right, folks, let's take a look at some of your comments to end the week here. We'll start with this one. The person says, thanks, Joe, Andrew, and Brian, for providing us the legislative information during the session. It was indeed interesting. Yes, thank you so much. We'll have some more coming up in the weeks to come. This person says, the 208, another legislation session has come and gone, but still no grocery tax repeal. All they do is talk, but there's no action. That is from that Glennon Meridian. And this person says, I am very pleased of the legislative work done in this year. That's from Steve. We got time for one more here. And yes, if you wanted to take a look at that beaver video, check out our story at ktvb.com. But something we do want to talk about here as we end the 208. This week, our family here at KTVB, the Boise community, and really the state of Idaho, we lost a great friend and an amazing person. Teresa Palmgren, just 42 years old. She joined KTVB in 2005, and she did her job with a smile every day. And no matter the story T and I went out on, she always had genuine smiles and excitement about life, even at 5 o'clock in the morning. And what's so interesting about Teresa was she was a photographer out in the field and an editor here in the station, which meant to us that she likely wasn't recognizable to a lot of our viewers. But we found out this week that just isn't true. So many of you have reached out, sending flowers and sympathies to our Channel 7 family. And T is one of a kind. She's the most gentle soul and kindest person. And all of that has been reinforced by you, the Idaho community. Teresa left more of an impact on her community than we will ever know. T, I love you so much. You are so missed. And I know that you and Larry are still watching us from somewhere. And I can't wait for the great weather and the positive softball bounces that we can attribute to you soon. This week, our Kevin Esslinger put together a tribute to T that captures her spirit and life.
First, the basics. Teresa Palmgren grew up in Idaho Falls. Graduated from the University of Idaho in 2003, where a degree in visual communications got her a TV job in Spokane. That job led her to Boise and to us at KTVB. That was nearly 18 years ago, a long time in one place, but it's where Teresa found her place. She was a frequent member of the morning show. And if you saw Larry Gebert or Jim Duthie out on a live shot somewhere, you likely saw Teresa there too. Behind the camera, but the forefront of friendly. If you stop by to say hi to the team, you are witness to Teresa's positivity. She would probably be the nicest person you ran into that day. Always offering a smile or a hug, usually both. They say you can tell a lot about somebody by the friends they keep. Her bond with Larry and Jim says a lot about who she was. But Teresa was friends with pretty much everyone.
Do you want to go first, Teresa?
Yeah, send Teresa out first. Oh, jeez.
Whether it was in a haunted house or in life, Teresa showed little fear when it came to showing you who she really was. A lover of animals, a carrier of cardboard signs, and a fan of the Seahawks. She was the organizer of our softball teams and our volleyball teams, neither of which, she would admit, she was very good at. But that didn't stop her at all. Because it wasn't about winning. It was always about just doing something together. Recently, Teresa gained even more confidence in herself when she decided she would try doing a drag show. She wasn't alone in that either. She could not have been more proud to share more of herself with her KTVB family, her friends, to show she had the guts to get up on stage and be who she wanted to be. This business of TV news has a way of hardening people, desensitizing us, turning us into cynics. Teresa, she kept us human. She reminded us what was more important than just a job. It was family, it was friends, and hugs.